we'll just start in a comfortable seated position. Here on our bottoms, we can cross our legs, or our legs can be out in front of us, however, but we'll just close our eyes and begin to take several really deep breaths in through our nose, out through our mouths. Begin to feel our sitting bones root down into our mat, into the ground, and we're lengthening in that spine, making ourselves good and tall and strong as we breathe deeply into our bellies. Good, and now let's inhale, lift those hands up high. Drop the shoulders away from our ears, wiggle the fingers. And then exhale, we'll just fold forward, nice and gentle. We're not forcing ourselves, just lowering that chest down. And even drop our head and just kind of round over our legs. And then on our next inhale, we'll just slowly walk our hands backwards, rolling ourselves up. And then hands come up high again. And then again, we'll just fold forward. And again, walking our hands backwards, rolling all the way up, hands come up high. Lengthen in those arms, reaching the fingers, and then again, exhale, folding forward. Maybe we're getting a little bit deeper as we fold. Arms are out in front of us. Chests are sinking down towards our mats. Shoulders are soft. And now here, keeping our chest low, we'll just walk those hands around over to one side. Good, and then back around to the center. Let's stay here for one full breath. Inhale and exhale, lower that chest. And then we'll walk around over to the other side. Good, and back to the center. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, we'll just crawl those fingers forward just a little bit further. And then we'll slowly walk our hands backwards, rolling our way up. We'll bring those hands back behind us. We'll do a little tiny arch here. We won't even mess with our legs, really. We'll just pull those shoulders back. lift the heart, we'll lift the chin ever so slightly. And then slowly we'll come on back up to seated. Let's take 2 big breaths here. Good. Inhale, let's lengthen in that spine. Exhale, we'll walk our hands around to the right. Little twist here, our right hand will find the floor back behind us. Left hand finds the thigh of the right leg. We lengthen on the inhales. We deepen that twist on the exhales, but we're just still gently warming up our back. So we're not doing anything super crazy. Not like we ever really do. Stay here for 2 more breaths. Lengthen and find all kinds of space in between those vertebrae, and then exhale, we relax. And then slowly we'll come back around to the center. Lengthen on that inhale, and then exhale, we'll walk around to the left. Left hand finds the floor right behind our spine. And then the right hand outside of the left thigh. Lengthen and deepen. Do 2 more breaths. Inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, little tiny twist. And back around to the center. Good. 1 more time. Inhaling up. Exhale, little forward fold here. Good, and now from here, let's walk our hands forward so that our knees find the floor. We'll come up onto our hands and our knees into our tabletop. Fingers are underneath of our shoulders, nice and wide. Our knees are under our hips. We're pressing into the ground with all 10 of those little fingers, or 11. Toes can be tucked or they can be flat, whatever feels great for you. And we'll just do some cats and cows. So as we exhale, we'll round, tucking the chin, tucking the tail, lifting that spine up to the sky. And then inhaling, we'll drop the tummy, lift the heart, lift up that tail. Exhaling, we round. Inhaling, we arch. Moving with our breath at our own pace, just moving up and down. Let's do 1 more cat and 1 more cow. And then find ourselves back in that neutral spine. And then we'll just sink those hips back and find ourselves in a child's pose. Rounding in that low back, hips are nice and low. Knees can be wide or they can be narrow, skinnier, put together. Good. And now let's inhale up into a little tiny plank. Shoulders come forward over our wrists. Hips kind of sink down, but we're not drooping. So we're lengthening in the back. We're looking forward, and we're letting those hips just kind of lower down. Our legs are soft behind us. So we should begin to feel some lengthening in our hip flexors, in the front of our body. Good. And then hinging back, we'll go back to our child's pose. Good. Inhale, let's come forward to that little plank. Good. And hinging at the hips, pressing back to child's pose. Good. Let's inhale up to that little plank, nice and long, pressing into the floor, keeping those shoulders strong, proud chest. And now exhale, we're just going to lower our chest down to our tummies. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. We're going to pull those shoulders back. Inhale, scooping our chest forward, and then up into a little tiny baby cobra stretch. And then lower back down and press back to our child's pose. Good. Let's inhale up to that baby plank. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, we'll scoop and bring that chest forward and up. And then press back to our child's pose. Good. One more time. Inhale up to our little plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, we'll scoop and lift. And then we'll press back. Find our child's pose. Let's stay here for 2 breaths. Good. And now let's come back up to our tabletop. Neutral spine here. Shoulders are back. Pressing into the floor with our right hand. Left hand is going to come up to the sky. And then as we exhale, we're just going to thread that buddy all the way through, lowering that left shoulder onto the floor. We can rest our head on our mats. And then this right hand can come out long and begin to walk around in a big circle to help open up those shoulders. Or we can place it on top of that left hand to help open up the shoulders. And if we are happy where we are, we please stay here. If we would like, we can lift up that right hand up to the sky, open up into a little bit of an L. And then we'll gently unwind. We'll find our tabletop again. And let's do one cat and one cow. So rounding on that exhale, arching on the inhale, back to the neutral spine. Finding our hands and knees where they need to be. And then now let's lift up the right hand. And then exhale, we'll thread that needle all the way through on this side, placing that right shoulder onto the mat. We're gonna rest our head. And then let's take our attention back towards our keister here and make sure that we're not wobbling around there. We're keeping those hips over the top of our knees so that the twist stays in our spine. Finding where we're at today. And if we're happy here, we stay here. Or if we would like, we can lift up that left hand up to the sky. If we get up here and we say, ooh, that doesn't feel good, then we come back down. Good. And then we'll slowly unwind. Find our tabletop, and we'll do another cat and another cow. Rounding, lifting that spine. And then when we're ready, inhaling, dropping the tummy. And back to our neutral spine. And then again, sinking all the way back to our child's pose. Good. Let's inhale, bring our chests up. We'll take this right leg and bring it on forward for a baby lunge. Work on our hips a little bit. Good. Exhale. Let's come on back, child's pose, for one breath. And then inhale, we'll come up and bring that left leg forward. And again, working on that lunge on the other side. Just kind of wiggle your way into it. Settle in. This will not be the only lunge we do today, so it can be like practice lunge. Just feel how our hips are feeling. Wake them up a little bit. Good, and coming on back, child's pose. One breath here. And let's inhale, bring that right foot forward. Set up into our lunge. And again, if our knee doesn't like to sit directly onto our floor through that thin mat, then press into the top of the of the back foot and just kind of relieve some of the pressure off of that knee. You'll also feel that that hip flexor gets a little extra love when we do that. It reminds our glutes to activate. Good, and now we'll keep that left hand on the floor. We'll lift up the right up to the sky. Good, and now as we lower this right hand, we're gonna bend the elbow, we'll touch our shoulder, and we'll almost lower that elbow all the way down to the ground. And then inhale, we'll come back up. Exhaling, bending and lowering down. And inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Good. One more time. Exhale, we go down. Let's lift that hand back up to the sky. And down to the ground into a regular lunge. And we'll step back. Child's pose. We'll take a breath here. Inhale, we'll come forward, other side, left foot, find that lunge. And then when we're ready, we'll inhale and lift up the left hand, reaching to the sky. And now exhale, we'll bring that hand to the shoulder, bending the elbow and lowering down toward the ground. Inhale, we'll come up. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, we come up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Good. One more time. And down. And then we'll lift that hand up to the sky one more time. And lower it back down to our mats. Stepping back, child's pose. Good, and now coming on up to our tabletop. Finding that neutral spine, we're breathing all around in that torso. Good, and now let's take that right leg back and just put the toes to the floor, pressing the heel back behind us. A little calf stretch here. Good, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring that knee forward and just kind of place it into our little 90-90 situation where we've worked in the past. So our front leg, our right leg is parallel to the front of our mat, to our shoulders. And then this left leg just kind of tucks behind us by our bums. Hands are on the floor. We lengthen And we'll just begin to fold forward. Walking those hands forward, letting the chest come with. Good. And then slowly we'll walk those hands back, lifting our chest all the way up. And then our hands will come back behind us, so our focus will now turn to this left leg. We'll press the left knee down into the mat. Our hands will find the floor back behind us. And we find where we're at. We get to here, and that's where we're at. We're getting a good stretch in our quad. Then that's a great place to be. If we would like, we can lower ourselves down to our elbows without letting this knee fly up to the sky. If you'd like, you can go all the way down to your back, but then we have to get back up, and that gets a little less graceful for me personally. Good, and slowly we'll help ourselves back up to the top. Let's do one more forward fold here, bringing ourselves over that front leg. Arms are out in front of us or on our elbows. Good. And then helping ourselves back up to the top. Let's put this right hand on the floor next to our right hip. And our left hand can swoop up and over like we want to look behind us. This left hip will come forward. It's totally fine. We'll make a nice long line from our knee all the way to our fingertips. And then coming on back to the center. Good. And then hands will find the floor. And then we'll slowly come back to our tabletop and eventually our child's pose. Give it a little bit of a breath or two in our child's pose. Let those hips reset. And then we'll come on up to our tabletop, and our left foot will go out behind us, pressing the heel back, opening up that calf a little bit. Poor little guys get forgotten sometimes. And then we'll release that foot, we'll bring it on forward, and come into our 90-90 situation on this side. So our left leg is out in front of us, parallel to the front of our mat. We're slowly working this right hip down just a little bit. We're tucking the foot behind us. Big inhale and then exhale, hands find the floor in front of us, and then we can slowly walk forward into a forward fold here. Do one more big breath here. Inhale, we'll lengthen. Exhale, walk those fingers a little bit further forward. Lower those chests. And then when we're ready, on our next inhale, we'll help ourselves up. Whew. And then hands will come back behind us. Pull the shoulders back, press this right knee into the ground, and then we'll slowly lower back into the spot that works the best for us today on this side. Sometimes each side is a little bit different, and that's totally fine too. One more big breath here. Find the length in those quads. And then we'll slowly come back up to the top. Our left hand will find the floor on the left. Right arm will reach up and around. And keep reaching over to the left. We can continue with our gaze over that left shoulder if we would like. Good. And slowly we'll come back to the center. And we'll do one more forward fold here. Lengthen on the inhale and then exhale. We'll just slowly lower back down. And then helping ourselves back up to our hands, pressing into the floor with those hands, and we'll come back to our tabletop, softening the feet, and lowering our butts over our heels, child's pose. Good. And now let's walk our hands forwards. Our hips will come up over our knees. Walking those hands all the way forward. Now we're just going to lower the chest down toward the mat in puppy dog pose or melting heart. Hips are over the heel or over the knees. As the chest lowers down, we can rest our forehead on our mats. If we would like, we can rest our chin on the mat. It's a lot less comfortable. Arms can be out straight, or if we would like, we can come into prayer hands. Stay here for one more nice long breath. And then slowly begin to walk those hands back. Our hips will find our heels again. And then our arms will come all the way back to our heels or our toes. We'll tuck the chin and roll up into a little ball here. Good. Let's bring those arms out in front of us. We'll come back up to our tabletop. We've got a couple of little more things to do, and then we'll cool down because we've been working real hard today. We'll take that right foot forward into our lunge, set ourselves up for the lunge, bringing our chest up and long from our knee all the way up to the tip top of our head. Good. And now we're going to turn those right toes out to the right. We're going to keep the left hand on the floor. And we're going to begin to, we can touch that thigh with our right hand to open up the shoulders. We can begin to turn and look back behind us. Once we get that twist set up where we like it, we can begin to lower that left hip down toward the mat. Hand can stay on the thigh, or if we'd like, we can reach it behind. Still staying active in this shoulder. We don't want to just like collapse in here. So nice long arm, good strong middle section. Good. And now we can come on back to our lunge. And then again, we're going to do that little twist. So turning the toes, turning the shoulders. And now this time we're going to reach back and find our other toes. Bring those heels in towards our bums. And then gently release and come all the way back to our child's pose. You can even wiggle in our fingers. One wrist has had a lot of weight on it, so it may need a little bit of some loving. Good. And then when we're ready, we'll come back up. Left leg will come forward. Find that little lunge. And then when we're ready, we'll turn the toes off to the left. Right hand gets to stay on the ground. Left hand can come to the thigh as we lengthen and turn. Once we find that twist, we begin to lower the hip down in toward the mat. We can stay to the thigh here to help open up those shoulders, or if we would like, we can reach back behind to make it a little bit more dramatic. And slowly we'll come on forward. Back to our lunge. Take a breath or two here in our lunge. And then when we're ready, we'll go on back to that little twist, and we'll just add to it by trying to find those right toes, bringing it into the bum. And then slowly we'll release. Hands find the floor. We'll step back. Come on back to our child's pose. Let's inhale up to a little plank. Lengthen in the front of the body. If you'd like, you can even come up onto your toes for a full plank. We'll lower ourselves down. And then as always, we have a choice. We can choose our back bend. If we would like, we can do our baby cobra again. We can come up to a bit bigger cobra. We can lift those thighs for upward facing dog. We've got Sphinx. Good, and now just lower ourselves down onto our mats, onto the belly. Big breath here. Then we'll just bring our legs out in front of us, coming into staff pose. Flexing those feet, finding the sitting bones as we move the muscles away from them. And then up to you, if we would like, we can hold underneath of our thighs, the bent knee, and begin to fold forward in this manner. Or if we would like, we can just start with long legs and slowly walk ourselves forward. keeping that back nice and long. Good, and then releasing the head, the arms. We'll slowly round and roll our way back up to our staff pose. And now let's take this right leg, bend it in so the foot finds the left thigh. And it's called Janu Shirshasana, or like a little runner's stretch here. Nice tall spine. And first, let's do a little twist around to the right. So very similar to the beginning of our practice. Right hand will find the floor behind us. Left hand will find the thigh. We lengthen on that inhale. We'll do a little twist on the exhale. Incrementally deepening into that twist. And then we'll slowly come all the way back around to this left leg. And then as we exhale, we'll fold forward. And then slowly we'll help ourselves back up to the top. Let's release that right leg. And we'll go into a little bit wide-legged staff pose here. Now it's up to you how wide your legs go, just like everything we do, it's up to us. Hands can come to the floor. Chests are gonna follow those fingers as we slowly exhale. Those chests forward, fingers forward. Feet are flexed. If we need to bend the knees, that's totally okay. Inhaling, we'll come back up to seated. And then we'll tuck the left foot in. Nice and tall here. And we'll do our little twist. So we'll walk around to the left. Left hand finds a spot behind us. Inhale, we lengthen, nice proud chest. Exhale, we'll twist. Take about 5 breaths here. And then coming on around, all the way around to the right leg, flexing the foot and slowly lowering ourselves back down. On this side, little forward fold. Good, and then releasing and helping ourselves all the way up. We can bend those knees, place our feet on the floor. We can hold behind our thighs and rock back. Here we go. Back onto our backs. Roll up into our little egg. Let's open those knees wide, holding on to the pinky toe side of our feet, and come into our dead bug, relaxing the shoulders down into our mats, flexing the feet, letting the hands guide them down in toward the mat, and not forgetting our tails, pressing them down so that our whole spine has imprinted into our mat. Good, and then we'll release those feet. We'll lengthen the legs, our hands and feet can reach for the sky. We'll move around in our wrists and our ankles, our fingers and our toes. And then slowly we'll exhale them down to our mats, arms over our head. Our legs come down below our hips, and we give ourselves one last stretch, making ourselves as long as we possibly can. And one more exhale. We find our Shavasana. We close our eyes. We soften our jaw. We relax our tongue. And we allow ourselves this time to just be. And we begin to deepen our breath. And wiggle our fingers and our toes. Move our head from side to side. And begin to listen to our body and give it what it's asking for right now, a little wiggle or a twist. And then when we're ready, our knees come into our chest. And we'll roll over onto our side. And help ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. Ending our practice where we began. Take this time to check in with how we are feeling after this past hour of moving around and connecting with our bodies. And we'll bring our hands together at our hearts, lower our heads, and give thanks to us for the gifts that we just gave ourselves. I'm so happy and honored to be able to have this opportunity to share my practice with you guys. Hope that we are feeling a little bit better than when we started. I wish you all a very, very happy rest of your day and a fantastic week. The light in the divine in me recognizes and respects the light in the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.